Hey everyone, how's it going? Matthew Kadish here, author of the Earthman Jack Space Saga and editor-in-chief over at dailygeekery.com, the internet's #1 news site for everything I find interesting. And today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite funny man, Chris Pratt. He's gotten himself in kind of a bit of a kerfluffle here, in the sense that people have been criticizing him for wearing a particular type of t-shirt. And basically, I don't know if you guys follow Chris Pratt on Instagram, but he's got a really great Instagram account where he posts funny videos and pictures and stuff like that. And he was recently pictured wearing a shirt that had the American flag on the chest and the coiled snake of the Gadsden flag and the words "Don't tread on me" on it. And people on Twitter kind of took this post of his and started accusing him of being a white supremacist, or at least advocating or showcasing a white supremacist symbol, in the sense that they believe the Gadsden flag is racist. So in this article, originally it was on Yahoo UK, and the initial headline was "Chris Pratt criticized for white supremacist T-shirt." And they kind of amended the title after a bit of outrage and says, "Chris Pratt criticized for t-shirt choice." So they went from white supremacy to criticize, but for t-shirt choice on this one. But as the article states here, it says, Chris Pratt is facing criticism over a t-shirt he was pictured wearing featuring a controversial symbol. Keep that in mind, controversial. We're going to talk about that in a bit. The Marvel Stars top shows the American flag with a coiled snake over the top and a message underneath which reads, "Don't tread on me." The writing and snake combo on its own is depicted on the Gadsden flag, a symbol created by Christopher Gadsden, a Charleston-born brigadier general in the Continental Army. It came to prominence during the Revolutionary War of the U.S. by colonists who wanted independence from Britain. And you can see here there's a tweet that's quoted that shows the shirt that Chris Pratt was wearing. And it goes on to say, although the symbol has a non-racial history, it has been used by the U.S. men's soccer team and Metallica over the years. It has also been adopted by political groups like the Tea Party and libertarian groups, as well as gun-toting supporters of the Second Amendment. It has therefore become a symbol of more conservative and far-right individuals. And you can see right here the original depiction of the Gadsden flag, which is a coiled rattlesnake ready to strike, and the words "Don't tread on me." The article goes on to say, it's why some people are critical of Pratt wearing a t-shirt featuring the Gadsden flag iconography. Many have posted their feelings about this on Twitter, and then it goes on to quote a few tweets here. This one's from Tim Burns, and it says, "I like him, but all these small things about his politics make me wonder when he'll say something transphobic, tank his career, and do the full heel turn to a Fox commentator." Then the next tweet here is from USS Butterscotch, and it says, "Ellen Page called him out and some of y'all didn't listen. Now look at all this stuff." And then finally, here's one, it didn't seem to quote right in the article here, but it says, "Unfollowed already. Haven't liked him since Park and Rec anyhow. And I can easily cancel him in that too. Chris Pratt, hope those bigots pay you a good paycheck. Bye, girl." And that was from Ariola Grande. And then the article concludes by saying, Pratt has most recently been promoting the first trailer of Pixar's new animation Onward, in which he plays one of two teenage elf brothers, alongside Tom Holland, who embark on an extraordinary quest to discover if there is still a little magic left in the world. Pratt is the voice of Barry Lightfoot, and Holland his younger brother Ian, in the film, which hits cinemas March 2020. All right, first of all, UK Yahoo hires an editor to actually go through your writer's articles here, because some of the phrasing in this article was just bad. All right, so grammar Nazi stuff aside, let's talk about these tweets and the implication here. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Pratt, he's a very proud Christian. He's never been shy about talking about his beliefs, his religion, but he's always done it in a very positive manner. He's never tried to shame anyone. He's never tried to preach to anyone. He's just always talked about his faith in relation to how it affects him and the effect that it's had on his career and his life. And obviously, Chris Pratt, he's been through, his fair share of stuff. Like he had a marriage that ended, and things of that nature. So he's not a perfect guy, but he's a very positive guy, and he's a very likable guy because of that positivity. And he just seems like a cool dude that you'd like to hang out with, just based off of his Instagram posts and the things that people who know him have to say about him. He just seems like a genuinely good dude. And so this stuff, criticizing him about wearing this symbol in particular, is really kind of disrespectful and ill-conceived. So, nobody likes racism, nobody likes white supremacism, nobody likes any of this stuff. But this idea that the Gadsden flag has become a symbol of white supremacy, it's not really accurate. So let me go over here and show you this. So this is I'll link this in the description. This is a web page that kind of goes through what the Gadsden flag is and what it stands for. And I'm just going to kind of give you guys a brief overview of this thing, because basically the way this flag is set up, this was a flag that was created for the American colonies before the United States Revolution against Great Britain. And this was kind of the flag before we had the stars and stripes and stuff like that was used by the people who wanted independence from Great Britain. And it depicts a coiled rattlesnake getting ready to strike. And basically the symbol of the rattlesnake I believe it came from Benjamin Franklin. And Franklin was basically the guy who said that rattlesnakes only strike if they're provoked. And so that kind of became a symbol of, the colonists, because they were being provoked and they were getting ready to strike. And so that was the reason for the snake. And then the "Don't Tread on Me," it became a symbol of individual liberty, individual freedom, because that's what the colonies wanted. They wanted the rights of the individual, and they wanted to be free. And so that's what this means. But I'm going to go here and give you just a brief overview here. What is the "Don't Tread on Me" flag? The noticeable flag is everywhere today, from personal vehicles to storefronts to signs. It features a yellow background and a coiled rattlesnake that appears prepared to strike. Though the use of the rattlesnake could hold many meanings, its origins tell one specific story. A bold announcement on both American pride and underlying symbolism, the first Gadsden flag came out of observations that Benjamin Franklin had made about rattlesnakes. He praised their constant vigilance and the animal's innate instinct not to attack unless provoked. Franklin made references to rattlesnakes in his political commentary, but at the same time the serpent became a symbol of the then young American colonies. Especially striking was Franklin's suggestion that in response to Great Britain sending convicted criminals to the U.S., so Americans should send back rattlesnakes. By the time American General Christopher Gadsden designed the flag, Franklin's metaphor had taken on a life of its own. The rattlesnake represented an American population that was united, docile unless provoked, and deadly to step on. So I'm not going to go through this entire article here, but I just want to kind of give you the general overview of what the history of the flag was and what it means. But if we go a little bit further down here, and I highly recommend that you check out this article. It kind of goes over all this stuff, but it also asks, what are the racial connotations? And it kind of talks about why this particular flag has gotten these white supremacy connotations to it. So basically, the guy who created it, the Brigadier General Gadsden, he was a slave owner, as most people were back in those times. And because he was a slave owner, it's associated with racism and white supremacy. But beyond that, it was basically, it's considered to be a Confederate battle flag, because I guess some people in the South flew it while they were fighting in the Civil War, and basically, it's basically just been misused over time, and most recently, it's been used for libertarians and people in the Tea Party, which is a politically right-leaning group, as a symbol of individual liberty, because that's basically what it started off as, and they're adopting that because from their point of view, they want to be left alone by government, and they want to have their choices be based off of what they believe and what they want, and all that good individual liberty stuff that we Americans often take for granted. And you can see here that there's a little section that says, "Is the Gadsden flag racist?" And this will answer this. Basically, it says, "Ultimately, it depends on both who you ask and how the imagery is being used. In most cases, historians agree that the Gadsden flag is not racist. Some caution that because Christopher Gadsden was a slave owner, people who fly this flag may be perceived as racist. Political groups or parties may hold an opinion based on whether they use and agree with the underlying message of the flag. An individual may purchase a sticker, flag, or apparel to show their support of the Second Amendment, free speech, and any other right they want to endorse. Many Second Amendment supporters, including gun owners, use the symbolism of the rattlesnake and the historical quote on apparel or other products with gun owner rights images or wording. Others use the image as politically driven products or promotional materials." So, Chris Pratt, it could be argued that maybe he didn't know about the history of the shirt he was wearing. It might have just been an ironic looking shirt to him that he wore, or he might have known about, the symbolism behind it and said like, "Hey, I believe in individual liberty." Maybe he's a believer in gun owner rights. I know that he's a devout Christian, so he probably definitely believes in religious rights. So that "Don't tread on me," motto of, leave me alone, let me live my life, let me, have my liberty. It could have just been as simple as him just believing in that. And yet people on Twitter and Instagram jump all over him because they view that as a racist symbol. And I think that that's just, just too quick to outrage here. If you look at, I always like to say words lie, but actions never do. Actions always tell the truth. And if you look at Chris Pratt's actions, like, he's never, ever come off as a white supremacist, even remotely. The guy is funny. He's, he's kind, he's charitable, he's inspirational, and he's just a cool dude. And he's worked with all types of people of color, Zoe Saldana in Guardians of the Galaxy, Denzel Washington and The Magnificent Seven. And, he's stood up for, his principles. And even when James Gunn got into that, thing about the off-color humor about pedophilia that he engaged in Twitter, Chris Pratt stood by him even then. So this guy has, certain principles, whether you agree with them or not, it's immaterial. But it's obvious that he's not out there promoting white people as being superior to all other races. And, he's not a Nazi. He's not someone who's advocating for anything even remotely like that. And he's never been shown to be that way. I think that a lot of this criticism probably just stems from people not liking his outspoken Christianity. And, that's an individual choice. I don't hold people's religion against them unless they're being using it as a justification for violence. But I think that, his outspokenness has basically painted a target on his back. And that's a shame because he's a very talented guy, and he doesn't really deserve this kind of backlash. And I think you've even seen people kind of walk away from this because, it is a ridiculous thing to say, oh, he's a white supremacist because he's wearing a specific type of t-shirt. That's just dumb. So anyway, that was the background behind this kerfluffle. That this was why people were saying he was a white supremacist. And it's also why it was completely taken out of context and a poorly thought out headline on behalf of Yahoo UK. This just seems like more outrage culture, people looking specifically for stuff to be mad about and post about on social media. But what do you guys think of this? Do you think this was blown out of proportion? What do you think of Chris Pratt? Do you think he's a good guy? Let me know about it in the comments. If you like this video and my commentary, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And also follow me on Twitter so we can all be outraged together. Anyway, guys, this is Matthew Kadish, and I will catch you guys next time.